trying to get crazy when they sing. Don't you know I'm loco?
I think it's just another extension of me in a more personal outlook. You know what I mean? People know who I am in the band. And this is just a way for me to even go deeper with it. You know, I love what I do. I feel blessed to be in rock and roll, but I always feel like there's a reason why I do it.
What's happening, everybody? This is Bobby Tribal, aka Bobby Ruiz, and once again, about time. Finally, it's time for, once again, believe it or not.
Yeah. What year is this? Yeah.
What do we call it?
The
again?
Lower Left Podcast.
That's
yeah,
us.
That's what it's called.
Yep. We finally got it back together, and I know, and I appreciate all you people that follow us and listen to these things and are patient enough to wait for our next episode. But you know, it's the same excuse we usually have, is that we get really, really busy and consumed, and we strong believers in a little bit of less is more, I guess, and we try to do podcasts that, you know, we feel are cool and relevant. I
All
guess.
of them are cool.
That's what I mean.
I'm in most of them, so those
do.
ones are extra cool.
Johnny Sweats, aka Johnny.
It's
Be Good.
hot right now.
Yeah, he's sweating right now. He's got a sweatshirt
I got a sweater,
on,
so.
and he's probably not going to last
Hopefully he
the
doesn't
whole
have
thing.
COVID.
Yeah,
No, I tested. Yeah.
he's sick
Yeah,
with
I'm not
something.
pregnant, and I don't
he
have
didn't.
COVID.
He didn't give up on us today, and but our guest almost kind of. He was like, "Huh? Wait, what? Today?" And then he got it together and came
Should have
in.
canceled. They could have came back next week.
That wouldn't have happened, because it gets like that, and next week is hectic. But we just had a really cool friend in the building. Shout out Big Sleeps for dropping in on us today just to say hello and chop it up and catch up, and big shout outs to him and his journey right now. But man, much love and shout out to him, and it was really good seeing him. But Johnny Sweats, what's up?
Not much. Technical difficulty. It's been a while, like you said, and the headphones aren't really working, so I can't hear myself. But
Okay,
it's all good.
You sound pretty good. Pretty good to me. Shout out. Yeah, we got the Liquid Death here too. So Monster.
He's like Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. And this episode is brought to you by our good friends at Tribal Lager.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Right? It's good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're real excited about that project. And it's not just because we don't just slap our name on anything, and we did a lot of taste testing and things to develop the taste and put that beer together. But we're real proud of that, and yeah, it's good beer. If you haven't tried it, try it. Check it out. But our guest today is a great friend of mine, a brother of mine, Tribal Click, a homie from SD. Just I can't say enough positive stuff about this dude, and if you know him, you know exactly what I'm saying. But the son of Southtown himself, the rock official, the official son of Southtown himself, Sonny Sandoval of P.O.D. And what's happening?
What's up?
Thank you
What's
for
happening?
Thank you for making it in today.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I know you've been in and out and staying real busy. What's this? We're in this. When are we? Spring? Are we summer yet? Did we start summer
we
yet?
just jumped into summer. Yeah.
Did we officially?
I think so.
So we don't know.
Yeah, you can't tell.
We're real sharp around
June.
here. But yeah, man. So what do you got going in this early summer days? And I know you've been in and out, and it's been difficult catching up with you. What's up with you?
I just got home last week. We did about 3.5 weeks in the States. And then 2 weeks before that, we did 5 weeks in Europe.
Oh, I
which
seen
was
that.
really cool. Yeah. We supported Godsmack out there. Played some big venues, and it's always fun. Headed out to Europe, you know what I mean? Because it's always new everywhere you go. Got to visit 3 countries I've never been to before.
Which ones?
Romania, Bulgaria, and Croatia.
Nice.
And my son Justice, he is part of his senior project at school.
He's smiling right now.
Yeah. he drum teched for us.
Yeah. What a great kid, man.
Yeah.
But
So we did
that
5
trip
weeks.
looked amazing.
Yeah.
And it looks like you got a little bit of time to do some exploring and check out the city and stuff like that.
I mean,
A little bit.
we stayed busy, but you take every moment you can if you're not doing interviews or sound checking to just walk around, especially with my son being with me,
Hit the streets. Yeah.
We took every moment we could just to see the sights.
Yeah. And then you came back and you were out last.
Came back 2 weeks, went and then jumped back into the U.S. Some of the rock festivals, radio shows, and we were out with Seether. And then we just announced we'll be going out with them again in fall for about a 2-month tour.
Whoa.
Seether, Daughtry. Yeah, it's gonna be
And
soccer moms.
How is it? How is it being on the road still? You still enjoy it? For the most part, it's fun.
100%.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy it more now, after not being able to do it for a few years actually during COVID and stuff,
Yeah.
We've been touring for almost 30 years, and then for whatever reasons we can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Someone tells you can't make a living anymore, you can't
Yeah.
do what you love. It was pretty scary for a moment, but the touring business is still kind of suffering from all of that, but we're just it hasn't changed for us. We're always grinding.
It looks like you're having a good time though. It definitely looks like you're having a blast still.
Yeah.
Like you're still out there with the homies and
Yeah.
doing your thing.
33 years later, I feel more lucky now to still be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's badass. So I don't know if we're gonna jump right into this yet, but have you guys been writing or what's new? What's new and what are you working on?
Our latest album, Veritas, is a year old now, so we're still hustling that. We've been overseas, been down south, so we're always moving that.
What was the writing like for that? Like, what was that like, and what was in your head? You think like
It was different because Trey had moved to Nashville right before COVID. And during that COVID break, we knew we were supposed to write a record, but
Johnny has COVID?
Sorry. Yeah,
go ahead.
Johnny COVID.
No.
Don't even say that.
I don't know what to say about that, honestly.
Okay, go ahead.
But it was weird because we would Marcos and I would take a trip up to LA. We'd have to wear our masks, and sit down. So that it really kind of killed the fun in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically took our time. We had started the process off at one point, and it had probably gotten almost 2 years of just going back and forth, goofing around, until finally we knew we had to wrap it up. But it usually just started with, always Marcos, we're a guitar-driven band, so it usually starts with a guitar riff. This time was different because we're so used to sitting in a room and jamming and then writing a song and then putting the vocals onto it later. But this time was more like an idea. And nowadays with technology, we can sit here, plug in the guitar. Even with this, we can plug in guitar, lay down a riff, get on the computer, make a makeshift drum beat just to keep the tempo.
Yeah.
And then I can sing top line with idea, and then you're pretty much 50% done, and then after that, it's just adding everything to it. So we were just going song by song by song, and not knowing how it would turn out. But I got to say, this is probably one of my favorite records, at least one of my top 3 of out of the 11 albums that we put out.
Wow. That's a big statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super. I know as much as you've written, just lyrically, you go pretty deep, and you're known to really touch on current situations, or even a little bit of just the, I don't know, just the cultural stuff in the Youth of the Nation pops in my head right away, and so many other songs. But this one you wrote, I guess, lyrics during COVID. Well, I mean,
it's not. I think most records that have come out during this COVID era, there's a lot of angst in it, but I think we're just always staying true to who P.O.D is. I mean, obviously the world is crazy, but it's always been crazy, It wasn't like we were gonna come out and make some stand or whatever. It's just, I think it's what happens after COVID, or what happens after your struggles or your situations. We always want to be positive in everything that we do, but I always write for the moment. I don't write in a journal and then add, look back, lyrics I wrote 12 years ago and then add them to music that we're doing today, So, but I always try to stay relevant. There's always something going on. Look at around us now. We're still, I think anxiety is at an all-time high, depression, suicide.
That's kind of what I guess I was trying to say. You've always addressed the craziness in the world, or what's going on in the world. Like, you give a perspective, or you try to, for lack of a better word, you try to help people through it, I think. And addressing things, like, I know so many things that you have addressed in your music lyrically, like suicidal kids and depression and school shootings, all these things that you have brought about, and not to mention all the badass rocking stuff that you guys do.
Still gotta rock.
Yeah. I mean, it's all up in it. So, but yeah, man, it's and then between all that and after all that, we've had a blast lately, just doing a bunch of cool stuff in San Diego. Like life in San Diego, I think is top notch. There's nothing else like it. You know what I mean?
It's actually not. So we don't want any new people to.
Exactly.
Just forget that last statement. Just stay home.
I always tell people when they ask about San Diego, I'm like, oh, it's a great place to visit, but you don't want to live.
Traffic.
Man, I'm
killer.
I'm gonna go ahead and just agree with you there. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But it's we've just got a great community, I think, here. Just it's hard for other people to get into.
It's true.
Our community is so locked in, but it really is, man. Like just the group of people around all of us, and shout out to the homies from Emo Brown, because they're good people, and then having the relationships that we have now with the SDFC, which is really cool, and then all the local events, like the Con Todo events, have been really cool, and just
a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, everybody's doing some really cool stuff, and it's exciting, being right now the beginning of summer. But part of what we want to do today is, I was recently, and this is part of the reason that we haven't done the podcast in so long, is because I have been really busy, a lot of traveling, like more than usual. But on one of my before I left on a trip, I was fortunate enough to be gifted this book, Son of Southtown. And when I get on my flight, sometimes I read, and sometimes I like to listen to audiobooks, and I listen to it. And honestly, like, I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here in front of me. This is a really, really great book, man. Like, you addressed things and said things, and I could see it in my head because I was there through a lot of it. I remember a lot of it, and you mentioned a lot of things and regarding the neighborhood and the music industry and the growth of the band and the struggles, traveling and building the band and the brand and touring and the relationships and all these other great things that you've been, blessed. Like, it's a huge, just to listen to this thing, like, man, I'm like, this is really, really cool, and to know that you're still enjoying it, you're still living it, but you touch on a lot of things that, questions that people have about P.O.D, your beliefs, your people, the misconceptions.
Yeah.
Because people, they do have misconceptions about P.O.D. and you and the band and just who you are, where you guys come from. And if you're from San Diego or you're from, anything about these dudes, you know that they're real as they come, and the roots and how long you guys have been getting down with it. But, coming from the neighborhood and everything that you guys have encountered, I'm sure you probably reached a point where like, I need to write a book. You know what I mean? Was that kind of how it went down? Like all of a sudden something was like, because you don't, if you don't have anything to say or you don't have any real lifetime experiences, Joe Blow can't be writing a book about, something if he's never really lived, unless he's got a really strong imagination. He can imagine if he do some fiction type stuff, but this is the real deal. And what inspired you to do this?
I think it's just another extension of me and a more personal outlook. You know what I mean? And people know who I am in the band. And this is just a way for me to even go deeper with it. I love what I do. I feel blessed to be in rock and roll, but I always feel like there's a reason why I do it. It's not like I grew up as a kid saying, oh, I'm going to be in a band one day and this is what I want to do, or even believe that I had the talent or the skills to do it. It's just something that kind of fell into my lap, but it was always meant to encourage people, when, and everybody around me was doing it too, like, when are you going to write a book? And so I feel like I could have done, or I could do 10 more books just filling in the details. This is more of a fast forward look of my life up until about right before COVID.
I see that because there's so many stories in here. There's things that happened to you in your personal life, and how you dealt with the loss of your mom, and growing up in the neighborhood and the family structure that you had during that period, or even after losing your mom, and it just, the visuals that popped in my head, the early days when I didn't know you guys, I wasn't there. Like when you guys were growing up in Southtown and off of Palm Avenue and talking about, your uncle and your family and everything like that. It was a beautiful picture.
Nice.
It really was. But it seemed very genuine. It seemed very like, 80s, like that whole vibe. Like I could see, like your Uncle Noah, I could see him and playing music and just everything. It just seemed like, I can see from that, like how you became who you are, and all these things that built you. But then again, like you were talking about inspiring people, like, there's definitely a lot of that in here. I still feel like you say some things in the book and to inspire people and kind of put it out there that you've had your struggles, but it's all worth it, at the end.
I've had
it's not the end yet, but
It's funny because I've had a few, pastor friends of mine who, when I told them I was putting out a book, they think, it's a memoir and it's rock and roll. But then when they finally read it, they're like, they see that, dude, this was more Christian-y or spiritual than
I
wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that either, because I like the way that you addressed that whole topic, and you let people know who you are and how you became to believe, and the homies that are, the things that you've experienced and why you think the way that you do and you believe the things that you do, and you don't really buy into these labels, and how you don't seem like the type, you've never seemed like the type of person for me that has struggled with labels. Maybe you get a little annoyed with them sometimes, but there was some quotes in there. I don't remember the exact quotes, but you nailed it. Like, like people right away trying to label you one way or another without even listening to the music or the message or what you guys were doing or knowing the story of, like, I know for a fact you dudes are way more hardcore than a lot of these bands that are out there claiming to be hardcore. I don't just mean in their music, but in the things that they've experienced in their lives.
Yeah.
I know you're homies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you're homies that you met 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but the dudes that you grew up with and how down everybody was. And you get into that.
Yeah.
You get into that. And having situations where, you guys were in that mix.
Yeah.
But people, they don't get it sometimes. And to me, that's where I took a lot of pride. It was weird. I was on the plane like, man, this is really cool. And I was really proud of you. And as soon as I landed, I text you.
Yeah.
Remember? And you guys were in Europe at the same time. Yeah. And I think I texted you. I go, bro, I don't remember what I said, but I was like, I loved it. Nice. Like it was, and I tell everybody too, like if you haven't, and you could read it, like go buy the book, read it if you're into reading, but if you're lazy like me, but Sonny does a really good job of reading it, like, and hearing it in your voice. It was super cool. And you give some game, the music business.
Yeah.
And actually, I was watching the documentary the other night, or a series about Lollapalooza and John Rubeli.
Oh yeah,
I had no idea. I didn't know he was like one of the OGs with Lollapalooza. And John Rubeli was like your boy.
A&R, yeah.
Yeah, I remember meeting Rubeli and him coming around. I'm like, huh?
Oh yeah.
What? I had no idea like he was that badass or that involved with everything. But shout out to him. But but then the again, our friends from Korn and Linkin Park and everybody else that has been a Cypress Hill and Psycho Realm, everybody that has been a part of this circle understands like, oh yeah, they know who you guys are and what you're about. But the music industry, like and here's I don't know if I even want to ask this question, but this is a question I ask people all the time. And you can DM me or give me an answer if you have a good answer, but I haven't heard a good answer. Yeah. I'm not the hippest guy in the world. I have seen some shit before, but in the last, let's call it 15 years, 20 years, can you name a band that has made it big? Not a pop act, but a band, like a rock band. Pre or post, if you want to call it new metal, post that. So, there might be a couple, people say, oh, Imagine Dragons. I think they've been around like 15 years, maybe. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know. And then Isaac said Turnstile.
Turnstiles.
But they're not as big as, like Rage or Korn or you guys were during the heyday.
Yeah.
So if you got that answer, let me know, because I don't know everything, but a band that could fill, an arena. But with that being said, being out on the same last trip I was in Europe, I was out with the homies from Limp. I was able to link up with them, and that's family too. And watching them, do arenas.
Yeah.
And just kill awesome. Arenas all, and I'm like, how is this happening? Like, well, it's because, people still want to see the new metal bands, and they still want to see a lot of what they grew up with. But how many bands that have come around in the last 15 years can fill arenas globally? Like you're going to go to South America, you can go to Europe, you're in the States, you're going to wherever you're going in the world, like to be able to play to that size crowd. Rock bands.
Yeah. It depends on what you feel is a rock band these days. You know what I mean? In those days, that's why I love the era that we came up with, because everybody was so original. Everybody sounded like themselves,
Stayed in their lane.
Yeah. And I mean, it was whatever you want to call it, new metal, but you did have
people struggle with that term.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But for us, we were around way before that, so we've been called a handful of other things. Rapcore. So all these things. So when new metal came around, we just thought it wasn't going to stick, and they'll call us something else. Yeah. But you had there was One Corn, you know what I mean? There was the Deftones,
Yeah.
System of a Down,
Great.
Limp Bizkit, all these amazing bands, and they all sounded like themselves, and everybody kind of incorporated, and it was genuine.
And there was that hip hop influence.
Yeah,
You know,
a lot of it.
A lot of it had that,
culture,
and I
yeah.
think that's where that was kind of a. But you're right. You know, everybody had their own sound, but that was a huge movement. Okay,
Right.
so that was a collective movement known as nu metal, if you will, right? And it went beyond that, and before that, you had like Rage.
Yeah.
But Rage also could have been, Rage and System and bands like that more Rage that had that hip hop
Yeah,
element
for sure.
more than System is System. Man.
Yeah, yeah.
They're in like, I don't even know how to classify those dudes, but they're just super sick. But okay, the nu metal movement, let's call it. So what came after that?
Well, first of all, with those bands, they were themselves. That's what today it's a little different. We're pioneers of a certain music, but it's because it's our influences, our cultures. Nowadays, it's very, very Hollywood, and I'm not taking anything away from the bands that are out today, but it's not a lifestyle. It's not them. It's like hitting ChatGPT. What's popular, what's going to hit, what's going to resonate, and then they put the list together and then they do it. And that comes with, the gimmicks. It comes with, I'm looking at guys.
They're a product.
But I'm also like, I look at a guy and I'm like, okay, I could stereotype and be like, he's this kind of guy. This is what kind of music he listens to. And then all of a sudden you hear his music and the songs, and all of a sudden he's rapping or he's doing this, and it's like, it's not really your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's just what the demand is right now. And then they're all over the place. They're rapping now you have country. When we were first doing it, it was like, okay, a few elements and it was still new. We're mixing together and it's still new. Nowadays, I think those lines have been crossed, and it's cool because you can do whatever. It's
blurred completely.
But it's kind of blurry, you know what I mean? Now there's stuff from metal, country, you know what I mean? And then now
country I like
rap,
that stuff,
which
like
is crazy.
Heavy guitar, country,
Yeah, some
bluesy
great stuff.
But there's stuff that's like underground. But I think there's also a movement, and I see it locally, like Justice's band and my son's band, and that I know with my son's band where he's had some opportunities to do some things or meet with some people or work with and he's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that route. I want to play my music, have fun, do what I want to do. I don't want anybody telling me how to
that's
write.
an artist.
Yeah, how to write, or it was he's had some people, I won't name drop on it, but real famous guy. Go, hey, no, I'll spit a verse for you. I think I told you this story.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dad, I love that, and I think it's super cool. But there's no way I want to come out riding on somebody's shoulders. I got to do this on my own. I don't want it to go that route. But what you can see too is some bands are being inspired now by that era, like the Deftones. I think I hear elements of the Deftones in Blossom.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And you hear certain tones and you hear certain sounds. It's really, really cool to see that. But let's talk about what you're saying, like these products. So there's and here's my thoughts or philosophy or whatever the hell you want to call it. I probably whatever. But the reason, and this is more than I do, is when a lot of these nu metal bands were recording and some of the our hip hop friends, and you'd go to the studios, you were like, this is like a resort, and they'd have, 20 microphones on the drums, and they'd have lounges, and they'd have a basketball court, and they'd have catering. Oh, you want a smoothie? And they, you were having smoothies and you were having coffee, and they'd cater luncheon and they'd bring menus, and you'd go play basketball, and this guy's in there tracking drums for 4 days, and the rest of the band's just kind of like, it was just the expenses that the labels were going through to record these bands because they knew that they could recoup it on a product, that product being a CD.
Oh yeah.
right? So there was money in it. So they weren't touching the merch, really. I don't know if they were. They weren't touching the merch, and the shows. I don't think they were touched. Were they touching touring? So the band was making money, and the labels were making money, and everybody was happy because they were selling a product that consisted of a whole album, 12 songs. And that was also, I think, maybe why nu metal may have been the last genre or whatever the hell you want to call it of music that was a real big investment in rock and roll or that industry. Countries aside, because country music right now that's where I think there's money. And I don't know what they're doing in Nashville or how it's done, but they got me because I listen to a lot of really cool country music now too. But in regards to that, they were selling a product. So as soon as I remember being out on those Napster tours. As soon as music became digital and you could buy one song, and people were sharing music, not just like, burning a CD, and people they would do that, but they weren't really into that. Yeah. No one really wanted like a fake. So go
still wanted,
pay the $16, and you got your record liner, and you got your CD, or you got your album or cassette, whatever it was. So the product went away. The actual tangible product went away. So people started, bands were making a nickel a song instead of $16 and getting a split on a CD or whatever the industry was doing. Excuse me. So the labels are no longer interested in investing all this money in a band unless they could control all the production, the image, and they can recoup on that investment of creating. And correct me if I'm wrong, because this is just what I'm seeing as an.
Well, that's when they created those 360 deals because
So what's a 360 deal?
So the labels weren't. Again, they sold the product, and then the label's the bank. And then, once they're recouped, you get whatever your percentages you take, but the label makes money off of a product.
Right.
Now that product doesn't exist anymore and people aren't buying records, then that's when they started tapping into, their merch and then their touring and all this stuff, because they're going to invest into you and grow you as a brand, but they have to get their return. And the return is in touring and merchandise.
Right.
So they have their hands everywhere. But until they, then we move from digital age to now the streaming platforms and stuff like that, and it's still criminal because the bands aren't getting paid. Even when somebody listens to Spotify or they buy music off Apple, whatever. It's not many people that do it these days because they can just listen to it for free. They think in their mind too that I'm supporting my band. Look how many times I've streamed this song, and they think that we're getting paid from it. We're not. But they're making billions. Well, they're making billion. Well, Spotify, they're all making billions of dollars off of advertising because every time I want to listen to P.O.D, I got to listen to 100 ads. You know what I mean? Or if I don't want to listen to ads, well, I pay a
So then what does P.O.D make? What does the band make? Whatever that band is.
Couldn't tell you because we're on a label. The middleman is collecting all their money. And at the end of the day, the labels, when do you ever really recoup? I mean, we sold millions of records, and that was 20 years ago. And to this day, we still owe Atlantic Records money because all those times when they were coming to visit us and such and such Europe and we thought, it's a radio guy or it's a top guy from the label. He's coming because he loves us and he's supporting our band. No, they're writing it down every time.
It's an expense.
They're writing, but they're staying in Four Seasons. They're flying first class, all this stuff, and we're just thinking like, man, our label's got it like that. They're amazing. They're ballers. No, they're charging us.
Wow.
That's why that's been as much as it's been known for so long, every artist still falls under that and it's criminal. So even to this day, after millions of records sold, we still are in debt to a label that we have nothing to do with anymore.
Wow.
But I mean, I get it, but that's why back then we made, I think Alive was a $600,000 video. And we just, in our mind, we know that we have to pay something back, but we're thinking this is a partnership. We're,
okay, so let me be the devil's advocate here. But then again, doesn't that kind of go back to like your management and who's reading the contracts and is all this stuff in black and white, not just yours, but I'm saying the industry, like, because it didn't just happen to you guys, it's happened,
it's happened to
across
every
the board.
artist.
I was watching,
Yeah.
like, this is kind of different but the same. I just watched Cheech and Chong's last movie, and it's more of a documentary than a movie, but they talk about how, I don't know, it was like $200 million up in smoke made or something, and that they got like $25K each.
Yeah.
Like they
That's
just
about right.
they didn't make anything. Like they were just, and how they got ripped off, and they just they were so excited to do this movie, and they just kind of went all in. And yeah, that was the age of people were making $1 million videos, and like you said, your guys' videos, or what Korn was doing, which was the one with the bullet.
Oh yeah.
Like just crazy special effects. And it was because I think that was still that time of CDs, right?
Yep.
So now the question is, these labels and these studios, what's happening with them? Are they bankrupting? Are they closing down?
A lot of them are, yeah. It's a lot of it's even the equipment, because of technology, is obsolete. I mean, you walk in. I walked into some of the best studios, and you're looking at these boards and all these machines that they have in there. They're all piled up in in certain rooms, but because they've paid millions for this, whatever, I can't even name off analog system and this board, they'll pay $500,000 for a console that they don't even use anymore. And now you'll go and you'll see this console and it's stretching from side to side, and then the guy's sitting there with his computer on top of it. That's just for looks now.
Yeah, they could record a whole album on something like that.
That's what I'm saying. You can, and a lot of these new bands, or not new bands, independent, which is great. It's great that you have the access. It's great that you can do it right here. But for the old school, all this stuff is, it's fading away.
But here's something too, like people that are maybe listening to this that haven't really listened to or paid attention to production.
Right.
Like you listen to production of, an old Pink Floyd album.
Yeah.
Or you listen to production of an old Led Zeppelin album, or some Van Halen
Completely
stuff.
different.
And you listen to even some of I was listening to this guy Sturgill Simpson, who's a country music, and I'm listening to some of his production. I'm going like, wow. Like they're really producing some of that stuff. And then you listen to, what's coming out now going through a computer. So there are ways to imitate those types of sounds and that type of echo or tones or whatever it is. But you can really, really feel the difference. So with that being said, the thing that everybody's thinking about now is AI.
Yeah.
Like how that can affect the industry and music and stuff like that. How do you feel about that, and what do you think is going to happen in regards to how AI will? It's obviously cannot affect. There's so much that's going on in my head right now. The human side of it, but then again, that may give bands that have established themselves as performers longevity. Because if they're competing with AI, like who else is going to get out there and hit the road?
Well, unfortunately you can't stop it, and then there's more of the world now that embraces it. But that's cool. If for me, then this is my personal opinion, because obviously I see every day you're blown away by something, AI. But if you're curing cancer and AI can do that, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But if I want an artist to paint me a picture, I don't want AI to do that. If I want an artist to write me a song, I don't want AI to do that. And back, we come from the school where it's like, dude, if you didn't do it, or you took pride in your work, and this is I created, this is my art. Nowadays, people don't care, again, because it's Hollywood. So you can let someone else do everything, because all you really care about is fame and money. It's not, you don't even care if you did it. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't do this. And so there's people behind you that will use you to do that. And,
it's like the Milli Vanilli effect. Remember?
Well, it sucks. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to take two guys and they're going to make them. Well, I always feel bad for those guys, because nowadays everybody's lip syncing. No one's singing their own stuff. Everything's auto-tune. It's like, those guys suffered so much humiliation, even to the point where, the one guy got into drugs and then ends up dying because
It was
all because of
humiliated.
this what the industry did to them. You know what I mean? They became a joke.
Yeah.
But nowadays, what's the difference between the biggest pop stars in the world? No one's singing their stuff. Now it's crossed over even to rock music, where a lot of rock bands aren't even playing their own stuff. You know how many times I see bands and the guitar's not even plugged in. But the shameful thing is the crowd doesn't care. So once you stop holding your artists or your professionals to a certain standard, that's when it all just, who cares? So now it's the same thing with well, who cares as long as I'm entertained and yeah, but it's not real, man.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Then that sucks.
But so it's kind of like with let's say a painting and a digital piece, right? Or let's say a painting, somebody who can really paint, with a brush or with an airbrush or do something with pen and ink or whatever. They're an artist that can do it, if you want to call it organically, out of their head and their hand, right? Versus something that's done through AI. So people that are those types of artists, and I have some in my family that, and people around us that they hate AI. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, the AI is able to do this, but guess what? If you're able to do it by hand in the future, maybe not right now, I think it's going to increase the value of your work, because I think there could be some sort of effect where people want real. They want it done by hand. They want it done with a brush, with a pen.
I hope
So they're gonna. I don't want to buy that painting that's done with a computer. I'd rather buy. So the value of your work is going to go up. But also, I believe and I think and I hope that I'm wrong, is that people studying art and technology or whatever, they're going to be able to do amazing pieces of art on a computer and using AI and all these tools, but won't be able to do it by hand.
Right.
So the person that can do it by hand is going to become more valuable.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but that's almost like collectors, or so much time has to pass before people actually realize the value of it.
Right.
Where I feel like we're such sheep now, where we just fall for anything, and then we realize 20 years from now, like, remember that painting? It's like I remember taking my daughter. We had a end of the softball year, and we had got her. They had just come out with them again. The Polaroids. This was years ago.
Yeah.
And so I
still have one.
I was like,
Love
dude,
those things.
that's old school. Like we come from that. And we went to this party, and at this point, everybody's got their phones, and these kids are all used to digital. You take a picture now, you see it how you like it, picture's done. My daughter took out her camera to take pictures of her friends, and these kids were shocked.
Yeah.
And they thought this was some new technology. the pictures coming out, they're seeing it, and they were amazed by it.
Yeah.
Not realizing that, dude, this is old school.
Yeah.
But we've skipped through all of that stuff.
That's a real good comparison.
Yeah, we've skipped through all that stuff. That it's not till they have to get to a certain point when they realize, no, I like the OG way. There was more heart in that, But so same thing with art and painting.
Yeah.
But because it's hard to compete with AI. It's hard to compete. Again, we play with all these bands that 90% of it was on tracks and computers. And then P.O.D. gets up there and we're so raw, but we come from the school like, dude, the rawer the better, the more punk rock, we're crazy, we're old school. But then now you're into an audience, it's like, it was good. It wasn't like the other guys, but it's like, yeah, because you were just listening to their record, that's it.
Yeah.
But they don't have the intelligence or even the passion to discern what is what. So now you're just being duped. It's like, and you don't care.
I'd feel ripped off if I go to
That's
a concert.
what I'm saying. I do.
Yeah.
If I go to a show and it's like, dude, especially from the scene we come from, if it's a hardcore band, it's like, dude, that the intensity and like the passion, and these guys are grinding. They're in a van, they're selling merch the same way we did it, hustling for gas money just to get to the next show. But then when you see them play, all that stuff comes out, the struggles of their life come out. Now, when I go see rock shows, it's the same as a pop show. It's all production. All these bands that we're supporting, because we can't afford to do that, they got, there's the pyro and everything is so insane, which is cool. I mean, rock has had that forever, but it was a certain level. You know, now they're doing all this stuff, but they're doing it to take away from the fact that the band sucks. Yeah. So it's not even about the music. You're just going like, dude, I went to go see so-and-so. Man, that production was amazing. They had fireworks. They had people jumping on trapezes, whatever, flying in the air. It's like, yeah, but what's the song?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like, and I don't take this away from anybody that's out there doing it. I get like, when are we done with the theatrics and the masks and stuff? So there's a band out right now, and I'm gonna give them credit. There's a band called Sleep Token, and dude, they're rising up. And you know, I've never even gave them a chance because I'm like, oh, another band with the mask or with the paint and the theatrics, and it's like I don't even give them a chance. And then I actually listen to them, like, I like these guys, man. Like now I kind of want to see them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think the realness or their art and all that stuff gets overlooked because you're shooting for gimmick first. You're shooting for what this generation wants. So, you know, we have bands open up for us, and the bands, they can be horrible. 90% of their stuff can be on tracks. They're not even playing their songs or even singing their songs. But because they have more followers on their Instagram than you do, they think they're the stuff. They look at you like, it's not even, they don't even care. I've gone to sound checks where they even have the drums in the tracks and the vocals are all in there. And I'm like, so that basically they're doing the Milli Vanilli. They're not even, 10% is human. Everything else is fake, but they're not ashamed of it. They don't care. They're not even hiding it in sound check anymore, because at the end of the day, they can pull out their Instagram and be like, what, fool? We got 1 million people following us. How many, what do you got, 2 people following you? That's all they care about is likes.
Yeah.
That shows them that they are, or that makes them feel that they are better than you, or they put in more work, or they're just as popular. There's bands that come out now. We've been 33 years and they got hundreds and thousands, 1 million followers. I don't. So because of my Instagram followers or the likes, our band is not credible because of a new teeny bopper, app. And so it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with that. But so many people are going with the times and doing it. But then they're going to look back 20 years later, like you said, and be like, I don't want that AI painting. Yeah. I mean, who would put an AI painting in a frame if you think about it?
Right.
When you can just print up 20,000 copies right now and we can go sell them outside.
Right.
I wouldn't put that in a frame. You know what I mean?
It's happening, I guess.
That's
I don't
crazy.
It's yeah, man. There is. I mean, it's happening in tattooing now too. There's even I've seen some machines where people are
putting their arm in the machine. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I think that's probably going to end up. I mean, that'll be the same thing. Like I think tattooing is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, art movement in the world right now, internationally. Yeah. Just because it's huge and they're everywhere.
Well, I think that's the perfect example. You can't take the human side out of that. Why would I want a robot to tattoo me? Like there's such a connection, but that's because we're old and all the kids now, they're like, I don't care. Just numb me up and hurry up. I want my face done. I want my whole body tattooed by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you see the one where they're putting people to sleep now?
Yeah.
And then guys are going in.
And some dude died or something.
Yeah, and they have 10 artists on them because all they care about is the end product. There's no story.
Yeah.
There's no passion. It's almost like we're lifeless.
No relationships.
There's no culture.
Just that the whole tattoo experience is gone. Like, sitting with somebody because you're a fan of their work or them as a person, or, I enjoy, like, last week I was with a great friend of mine getting tattooed, Tim Hendricks. Mm-hmm. And he's so busy and I'm busy and it's a time when we get
special moment.
Yeah, we get to finally catch up and talk about life and the kids and just, everything that we've been doing and just it's the experience, it's the connection, that's kind of or the part of the good part of it is making that human connection. But I think that is what's going to be missing in so many things in the future is that genuine human connection. It's like a kid now, you can go to any restaurant, you can go to wherever, and I'm going to say 50% of the people are probably on their phones, staring at their phones and not with the other person.
Yeah.
Or, they're people spend, they're looking forward to the weekend to go to this place or that place, and they get there so they can stare at their phone or take a selfie or
You just say I was there, take a picture.
Yeah.
Well, we've I think the sad part about that, just wrapping up AI and all that stuff, is we've gotten so dumbed down and numb to just life in general. So we're not in touch with our feelings, our emotions, everything that makes us human. So we also settle for garbage. So that you were talking about recordings, like if a 20-year-old kid or a 15-year-old kid doesn't know any different, if every album that they've been listening to for the last 10 years sounds that way. I hear drums in some of these albums, and they're not even using real drummers anymore. It's all computer, and I'm like, me being old school and experienced, I'm like, those drums sound like crap. Or maybe they don't sound like crap. They actually sound good, but you're like, but that's not a real drummer. So instantly, I'm like, I would never do that. I would never have a robot, or I would never have a computer play the drums. This album is gonna last for eternity. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, but kids are so dumbed down. They don't even know if you put real in front of them. They don't even know. They're like, wait a minute, I can I have the fake back? Because that's all they know.
Right.
That's all they know.
Well, here's the thing too. I'm gonna go back to this: is you were a part of, or are a part of. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, because I hope I'm wrong, and hit me to some new shit, because, or some good new shit, not some new shit, but some good new shit. But the last big rock movement, I'm going to say that, in what was called nu metal. Mm-hmm. So I guess my question is, what came after that was good rock music that you could compare to? And I'm hoping there's something else. And like I said, I don't know. There's a lot of shit I haven't heard. I haven't listened to. But I'm not talking about country music, because that's a different animal. But there is some cool stuff that's merged together. Like you're finding like heavier guitar, country music, hip hop merging with country music, hip hop, pop, all that. We're not talking about that. Talking about rock and roll, rock music, something you would classify as rock music. And there's bands that can fill the House of Blues, and they can fill like, smaller venues, and they're touring all over the world. That's cool. More power to them. That's great. I hope they can get to that. Yeah. But I'm talking like arenas and stadiums. Yeah. I'm not talking about Taylor Swift and, but then, you're looking at the bands that could still do it. Blink's still out there doing amazing thing. Green Day, like all the, but this was 15, 20 years ago.
More than that. Yeah.
And 30 years. I would also encourage people, if you haven't watched the Lollapalooza series, I don't know, I think it's on Apple. I don't know where I saw it, but really, really interesting. Yeah. Really, and that was such an influential time in music. Like the first time Carl and I went, I think it was 92 or 94. It was Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah.
Jane's Addiction.
Green Day was on it. The Beastie Boys. Yeah. That's when first time that I had met those guys. George Clinton. Yeah. And then being with the Beastie Boys in their dressing room, they had monks in the dressing room, like Tibetan monks. Like they were just chilling right there by the Cheerios. No, they were Fruit Loops.
Sounds like a stoner movie.
It's true.
But that's when it was real. You were getting a bit of their life. Mm-hmm. Now it's not.
Green Day pulled up in a bookmobile. Like it was, and the dressing rooms were handball courts at San Diego State. But great documentary. Also, that was, you correct me if I'm wrong, but that was before Korn and you guys and Limp, and or you guys were just starting?
We were starting, but it wasn't, we hadn't hit that scene.
It hadn't been coined yet.
Yeah, but to go back to what you say, like, I mean, there's a lot of great genres and bands that have come since then, but it hasn't been a movement. You know what I mean? Like that nu metal era was a movement, and for a band like P.O.D. or Limp Bizkit and Korn to be on TRL with Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
You were on the cover of People magazine I have the
Yeah,
magazine
with
somewhere
Jay-Z.
with Jay-Z
Yeah,
and
that's
Ashanti or something.
to do that is we
But there were magazines back then.
yes. Now it doesn't. Who cares?
Yeah.
They're relics now.
Dude, I just think we are fortunate that, we lived that.
No, I feel,
records were cool. CDs were
Yeah.
cool. Real music was cool.
Yeah.
Magazines were cool.
Yeah.
All these Polaroids
You
were
worked
cool.
for that. Yeah, you went
Videos
down to
were
get a-
cool. Like actual things that were tangible
Yeah.
were hella cool. And they still are hella
Yeah.
cool. And hopefully one day all that finds its way back in some form, because I think it's going to just turn into people wearing meta glasses and some
man.
kind of trippy suit and
or
and all these
hidden
things
in
that,
VR.
yeah, and RoboCops and all this stuff you're seeing in the movies. That's going to become the reality. But I there's certain elements that I think will continue, physical elements. So yeah, they'll continue to be around, like skateboarding and dance.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's
of
art
course.
forms and things but just I don't know, man. It's just in a real trippy place right now. But going back to your book, like you take that ride, I think, from a really, really strong point, in the early days living down there, to pretty much where you're at right now. And that story's in the book. Like
Yeah.
a lot of what we just talked about and what you experienced, and a lot of, the realities and how fun it was, it's in there. Like I said before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm not saying this because you're sitting in front of me and you're the homie, but it was a really, really strong,
Thanks,
well-written, great listen. And maybe I am a little bit biased because I know some of the names and I remember some of these things, like, when you were recording these albums or where you were staying, and, just being around the scene. But, are you going to be touring to support the book when you get some time? Or
Yeah, I've done some stuff already before P.O.D. tours. We're doing a bunch of flyouts for P.O.D. I'll be doing book flyouts as well. And it's been cool. It's just, I get a chance to meet people that actually, are beyond just P.O.D. fans. You know what I mean? They actually do care about my story. They care about what I've contributed to this rock band. They care about, the community stuff that I've done. You know what I mean? So it's a lot more personal, so when they're coming out to get a book or to hang out and get a picture or autograph, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot more intimate.
I think people will realize just how active you are in other parts of your life. Like you were saying, like the community stuff that you do with the YMCA and also with the Whosoevers, like that whole story with the Whosoevers. And if people really know who they are and how that developed, and these aren't just like, like when you're talking about Head and you talk about Ryan and Ryan's struggles and yourself and just what you guys have done collectively or as a group, and really, really interesting and inspiring and super cool, positive stuff. And not to say that, you didn't, it was all, roses and rainbows and stuff. So you touch on some of that type of stuff too. So it was really, really good. And it was my idea. I was like, Sonny, we got to talk about this book. I want to help you push this book, because
Nice.
it was in, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. If someone has some time to read, or it's available on Audible, that's how I listen to it. Where else?
People are buying them in stores, but mostly everybody just online.
Yeah.
Talk about
You get on
futuristic stuff.
Amazon. you get on Amazon.
Does anybody go to a bookstore anymore to buy books?
You could get AI to read it to you.
Yeah, I could have, but I did it myself. which
Really?
was- yeah.
They give you that option?
No, they'd hire someone to do it.
Oh.
But I think AI does do it now.
Yeah, you can clone your voice.
Speaking
There's that one certain voice that I hear on everything, on reels, commercials.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about this. So
you ever?
speaking of that, speaking of that, so I'm going to tell you about this other. It's a podcast that I listened to, and it was extremely interesting it was give me a second, I'll find it. My sister sent it to me, and it was done. All the questions were answered by Chat GPT AI, right? They don't sound robotic. It sounds like a British woman, but they are so you gotta imagine that they were extremely, I don't know the word, educated answers. Not necessarily, I don't know if it's intelligence.
Yeah.
It's educated intelligence, whatever. But they hit on a lot of topics, and listening to some of these answers, and it was one of the most interesting podcasts that I've heard in a long time, just because and you listen to this woman and you forget that it's not really a woman, but just because of the way she speaks, and obviously just ultra intelligent, like answers. But I think you would enjoy it too. They touch on all kinds of stuff, but it's called the Mighty Pursuit Podcast, episode 43. I'll send it to you. Mighty Pursuit Podcast, episode 43. The world's first deep conversation with Chat GPT. On me. Insane. Crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Well, I think just the English accent alone makes you smarter.
Oh yeah, it doesn't sound smart.
And then it's a lady. So I'm like, damn, you're smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, you could check that out too. But so what else you got this summer? Anything else you're working on? You want to promote your tour, the record? Anything
I
else?
mean, we did announce that See the Daughtry tour. We're trying to lock in a bunch of some more overseas South America stuff. I know we'll be putting together a P.O.D. headline tour in the beginning of next year. Going back to Europe. I think at the end of summer we do a few festivals in Europe. So I'm staying busy, man. I mean, this is work. This is how you pay the bills.
That's right.
Only am I lucky that I get to do this, but bro, I got my third kid going into college. I'm
shout out to him. I love that kid, dude. Yeah. And we've had some great family stuff with Isaac's wedding and Justice graduating, and just great things happen. When are you going to be out? You said late summer. How late?
I'm fly out all through this whole
September.
summer.
I might be back out there.
In Europe?
Possibly.
I think we're in beginning of August. So I'm actually trying to do these festivals, and then Shannon and I, for her birthday, do like for her 50th birthday.
Oh yeah, there's also the
that.
book also has that love story in there.
But I figure since I'm already gonna be in Europe, why not just come?
Oh yeah, I think you had mentioned that to me.
Yeah,
you guys were planning on doing that.
Yeah, maybe hopefully 10 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
just get lost in Europe somewhere would be cool. Yeah,
and anywhere would be.
Oh yeah,
be cool. And go Padres, right?
Always.
That's right.
Always.
Yeah.
And we got the football club as well. So hopefully we'll be doing some shows with them, and whenever they want to break out and do something cool for San Diego. Or we'll
do our own.
There you go.
Right?
Could always do that too.
But no, homie, thank you so much for making the time today. And Johnny for not coughing on us and
I'm trying so hard.
I know you are. I'm like, Johnny hasn't said a word. I'm like, he's trying not to cough.
He's not even. I look over him. He's not even. He's not even breathing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And So shout out to just doing thanks to Liquid Death, Monster, Tribal Lager, Johnny Be Good, P.O.D, SDFC, SDSC, all the S's, the D's.
Elemental P, OPP.
OPP. That's your favorite.
all of those, all the homies right here at the lower left. P.O.D, Tribal Click, Johnny Be Good, Lower Left Podcast. We out.